You may have seen some articles online talking about the discovery of early native horses in North America, specifically in the western United States. A lot of people seem to have misunderstood or misinterpreted the findings, so I'd like to clear that up in a video. For a little bit of background information, horses actually originated in North America where they evolved before they spread out to other parts of the world. However, horses are believed to have gone extinct in North America around 8,000 to 12,000 years ago. The reason why the horses went extinct is still debated. One theory is that the changing ecosystem in North America ended up killing off a lot of the plants that the horses liked to feed on. Another theory is that humans overhunting is what drove the horses to extinction. This is backed up by some studies that found that humans may have arrived in North America shortly before horses went extinct. Then after Columbus and the Spanish landed in North America, horses were reintroduced to the continent, and they began to spread out all across North and South America. Of course, this wouldn't be a cryptid video if there weren't reports of the horses surviving their extinction. So let's look at some reports of horses in the Americas before the reintroduced horses began to spread out across the continents. Now, possibly the most interesting sighting comes from a man named David Ingram. Ingram was an English privateer and sailor. He was raiding targets in Spanish-held Mexico when, in November of 1567, he was shipwrecked. Wanting to avoid capture by the Spanish, Ingram and about 24 men decided to head north. 11 months later, in October of 1568, a French trading vessel in Nova Scotia found Ingram and 2 other guys in a native canoe. Ingram said that the other men had turned back or died, and him and his 2 companions were the only ones who made the entire journey. That journey was estimated at about 3,000 miles or 4,800 kilometers. Years later, Ingram relayed the events of his journey to a Sir Francis Walsingham. Since Ingram himself was illiterate, Walsingham wrote it down for him. Ingram's account is controversial since he describes seeing a lot of very out there and fanciful things during his journey. Some believe that there's important information in his memoirs, even if he did exaggerate them. For example, it's believed that Ingram may have made the first recorded sighting of the American bison. Now, during his journey, Ingram described seeing a type of wild horse. He said that these horses were enemies of a type of large elephant-like creature he had seen there, but that's a story for another day. Ingram wasn't the only early explorer to see horses in the Americas either. According to the 1925 book Science from an Easy Chair, the explorer Sebastian Cabot reported seeing one in 1530. The book says, "It is even alleged that Cabot, in 1530, saw horses in Argentina, which were the last survivors of the native South American species. And it is also said that the Araucanian Indians of Patagonia have a peculiar breed of ponies which may be derived in art from a native South American stock. I have never been able to procure a skull of this breed or any detailed description of it." Cabot even later included a drawing of a horse in South America in a map that he had created. In addition to these sightings, there are reports of a curly-haired horse in South America. These reports were collected by author Austin Whittall, who believed that they could have been horses native to the Americas for 2 major reasons. One, the kind of curly hair described isn't found in the European horses that were brought to the Americas. 2, he found reports from the Lakota people of them seeing and owning curly-haired horses. The Lakota people had what is called a winter count, which is sort of like a calendar. Notable events are drawn, and then the stories behind these events are passed on through oral tradition. In the 1803 to 1804 winter count, it was described that members of the Blackfeet tribe had stolen curly-haired horses from the Assiniboine people. The Lakota people are actually where a lot of the reports of surviving American horses come from. In a 1991 document titled The Aboriginal North American Horse, the author talks about how the Lakota believed that they had a species of horse distinct from the European horses. They also described one breed of these horses having curly hair. A lot of these accounts were collected by ethnohistorian Yvette Running Horse Collins. She included them in her 2017 dissertation, which argued that the horses of North America actually survived their extinction. In addition to the stories, she also cites pieces of native art that she believes to depict horses from before when horses were reintroduced to the Americas. Now, there is one final piece of information on cryptid horses in the Americas, however, I wasn't able to access it. You may be familiar with Bernard Heuvelmans, who's one of the founders of cryptozoology. He donated a lot of his notes to the Museum of Zoology in Lausanne. Among these notes is a dossier on the Native American horse, which is said to be from Haiti, Argentina, and Fusang. Now, while I couldn't find what's in these notes exactly, Fusang is a place mentioned in ancient Chinese literature. Because it's said to be a place to the far east of China, some believe that Fusang is actually North America. Notably, Fusang was also said to have horses, which is likely what the notes are referring to. The section on Argentina might actually be talking about one of the sightings of South American horses that was covered earlier on in the video. So there are historical accounts that seem to suggest that horses survived their extinction in North and South America. But is there physical evidence? That's what a study published in Science magazine looked at. A team of scientists radiocarbon dated horse remains from across the western United States to see how old they were. Now, before this study, it was believed that natives in the western United States mostly got their horses from the 1680 Pueblo Revolt. After the revolt, a lot of horses were left behind, which is when the natives began using them. This study found, however, that the horse remains in the western United States actually came decades before 1680. This means that western natives used horses way before it was previously thought they did, possibly even as early as 1550. Whether these horses came from earlier conflicts or escaped horses is unknown. Unfortunately, this is where the misinformation comes in. Many people online have used this study to claim that the original American horses, the ones believed to have gone extinct around 8,000 years ago, actually survived and were domesticated by the natives. While the discovery of the American horse's survival would be very cool, this isn't what the study says at all. They tested both modern Lakota horses and the older horse remains to see where they came from. They found that the horses had Spanish and British horse DNA, but not DNA from the American horse. This means that there is still no physical evidence that the American horse survived into the 1500s or the modern day. Archaeologist Will Taylor says it's possible that the reports of American horses were stories passed down from when the natives first encountered them. So to conclude, while there's not any evidence that the original Ice Age American horses survived their extinction, yet, we do have a cool study showing that natives had used horses in parts of North America way earlier than previously thought. Whatever your thoughts are on the possible survival of the American horse after hearing about their sightings, the horses are still cryptids, alleged animals that don't have enough evidence for science to recognize. As cryptozoology enthusiasts, it's important to remember not to claim that there's proof of a cryptid without actual scientific evidence. It's also important to read scientific reports carefully. I'll have a link to the report and the other sources I used for this video down in the description. If you want to see more cryptozoology videos, I have a playlist with hours of cryptozoology videos that I'll also have in the description. Included in that playlist is the Cryptozoology Iceberg, which covers hundreds of cryptids from around the world. I'd also like to give a shout out to Matt Billy, Hourdark, and Crofter number 2 for helping me make this video. I'd like to give a very special shout out to the channel Wild World. If you're into zoology, cryptozoology, or paleontology, check Wild World out. I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. I'm also going to be having a collaboration with the channel Incognito TV coming out. I'll be talking about cryptids and conspiracy theories, so check the description for the link if you're interested. If you enjoyed watching this video, I'd appreciate it if you shared it with someone you think may also enjoy watching it, and liked and subscribed. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. My social media accounts, including my Patreon, will be linked in the description. If you'd like to support the channel, you can donate on my Patreon. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.